Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be making homemade lasagna. Now I have pre-made my bolognese sauce and I'll link the video in the description box below. So what we're going to be making now is our bechamel sauce, and basically that is a white sauce. Really easy to make, and it consists of 3 ingredients. So you can see there that we've got our butter, and I'm just melting that down in the pan. And then we're going to add our all-purpose or plain flour into there. And what this is going to do, it's going to make what they call a roux. Who they are, I don't know, but that's what they call it. So we call that a roux. And you can see there, if you just keep stirring and mixing and combining all of that there, you get sort of like a paste. Now at this point I do reduce the heat, I just turn the heat off at this point until I get all of the flour and butter combined. And next what I do, I put the heat back on and I add in our milk. Now I add the milk in gradual stages. So I add a little bit of milk, I thicken the sauce up, add a little bit more milk, and eventually it just becomes thick. Keep it on the heat, keep stirring continuously. Now at this point I use a whisk. So you can see there that I changed from a wooden spoon to a whisk, and I just continuously whisk this up until it starts to thicken. And you can see there, I just gradually keep adding the milk to the mixture there. And eventually you will end up with a thick white sauce. Now it is a little bit controversial, and I think it all depends on where you're from in the country basically. So what we do where I'm from, or in my family, is I add cheese. So yes, it is a cheese sauce that I am adding to the lasagna, and it is controversial. It's not traditional, it's just the way we do it. But if you don't want to add the cheese, I'm just showing you now how to do the bechamel sauce. So there you go, you can see there that it's thickening up nicely. So we're just going to keep on mixing that, and it does thicken up into a thick sauce like that. And you've got to be really careful that it doesn't catch on the bottom. That's why you've got to continuously sort of whisk the mixture. And in I go with the controversial cheese in there. So I just put a little bit in and I just whisk, and it'll just melt the cheese. Now the pasta that I'm using, I am using just dried pasta sheets, lasagna sheets. You can buy fresh lasagna sheets, but it's personal preference. It makes absolutely no difference to me. So I just use the dried ones. And there's the bolognese sauce that I made earlier. And as I say, I'm just making a smaller dish for myself because there's only me that eats the lasagna. So I'm just going to make this and it'll do 2 meals easy. So I'm just going to pop the... again, this is controversial. Some people put a pasta sheet on the bottom and some people don't. I do. It's, again, personal preference. I just think it's easier when you're getting it out of the dish that all of your bolognese that's on the bottom doesn't go all over the place, because you've got a layer in there. Again, some people put this white sauce or cheese sauce a little bit on and then your pasta sheet. Some people don't. I do. It's personal preference. So if you can't get the lasagna sheets the perfect size, just snap them off and just do your best with them. So we're just going to layer that up, and depending on how deep your sort of bowl is, depends on how many layers of pasta that you're going to have. This one in particular, I have a bottom sheet and then a couple of layers in between there. So you can see there, sometimes it goes a little bit dodgy when you're snapping the lasagna sheets off. You can sort of parboil these, I think, and soften them to make it easier to break it up, but I just put it in and it works. It just works, guys. So now I'm going to add some of this white sauce, bechamel, cheese sauce on the top, and it's entirely up to you what you top your lasagna with. We tend to top ours with a little bit of grated cheese, whatever we've got in the fridge. That might be cheddar, might be red Leicester, just whatever we've got in the fridge. And I also pull some of the mozzarella ball off, and we have mozzarella on the top as well. And I also add some Parmesan cheese because that gives it that nice little crusty bit on top. But again, the cheese level is entirely up to you. Some people don't like a lot of cheese, but we do. So you can see there that I'm just putting a little bit of our grated cheese on there as well, and I will top it off with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Now, what I do also do is I do some batch cooking as well, or I will cook for my parents and things like that. So I have some silver foil containers, which I'll show you just now, and I make them. They are perfect and ideal for the freezer, or just basically transporting them, or whatever. They're just fantastic, and I buy them in Home Bargains, and I think they're £1 for 8. So there you can see there's one lasagna there done, and I'm going to make a couple more, which I am dropping off at my mum and dad's tomorrow. So my dad likes bolognese sauce, so I'm going to pop some bolognese sauce in one of these for him, and then I'm making 2 lasagnas for my mum and my brother. So yeah, so I'm just going to layer them up exactly the same way as what I did the other lasagna that you've just seen us making up. And we'll get that made up and popped into the oven when we need to. Now, what I do, I pop it into an oven on gas mark 7. Now, everything is cooked apart from the lasagna sheets, and you want a crispy topping on, basically. So I pop it into the oven, and about 30-40 minutes, and it is done and ready to serve. Before I do serve my lasagnas, I tend to rest them and leave them for 10-15 minutes. They're not going to go cold because they're going to be piping hot. So I do leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's so much easier, and it stays as one sort of solid unit, if you like, when you get it out of the pan or the container, whatever you're using. So you can see there that I'm just popping some more of that topping on, our cheese sauce, bechamel sauce, and again, just cheeses of your choice. After the 30 or 40 minutes of your lasagna being in the oven, this is what you get, and look at that bad boy. So I hope you do try it, and I hope you enjoy. Catch you on the next one.